Thank you for joining me. In this video, I'm going to be taking you through the new range of Callaway drivers. Meet the Elyte family. So what has Callaway got for us this year? Well, to start with, the name is an interesting one, Elyte. So obviously we know Elyte means the best of the best, but the spelling that Callaway have gone with the Y instead of the I, is a little nod to their founder, Eli Callaway. Now we've got three models in the range. We've got the Elyte, which is your more standard model, which is going to appeal probably more to the masses of the golfers out there. Then we go into the Triple Diamond, which is your low spinning, slightly more compact head, before going up into the Elyte X, which is more of your high MOI forgiving driver. So what's the tech story? Well, the message I took from the product launch that I went to is that the tech story is really a combination and creating the perfect blend of a few things. Or as Callaway put it, fast heads are generally unforgiving and forgiving heads usually aren't very fast. So what Callaway have done is put a lot of work into the aerodynamics to try and make sure they get the best of both worlds. Callaway's put a lot of investment into in-house 3D printing, which has actually taken the production of prototyping from 3 months to 5 days. So what this does is allow more trial and error. They can try more things, so they can potentially advance the production a little bit further. So in the case of the Elyte, normal rounds of prototyping would be about 4 rounds. This Elyte range had 75. So to cut through a bit and give you the top line, what Callaway has done is created a more aerodynamic shape, but with higher MOI. So in theory, we should be able to move that club quicker through the air, but when we don't quite find the center, we should be getting a little bit more help. Other claims suggest from Callaway that we could be getting a 19% tighter dispersion downrange and even up to 7.1 more yards distance than over Ai Smoke. This all sounds really good to me, so let's get testing. So starting with the looks of the Elyte range, and I've seen some differing opinions on this. So those of you with access to the internet, which I'm sure is most of you because you're watching this video, may have seen some leaked photos on the USGA conforming list or elsewhere. And it would be fair to say the comments have been a little bit mixed. Now personally, I don't have a problem with it at all. Is it the best looking driver Callaway have ever made? No, I don't think it is, but it was always going to be a tough act to follow the really exceptional looking Ai Smoke range. But to me, a lot of the commenters that are speaking negatively about this range online may have only seen it from the sole position. And to me, that's the least relevant position this driver will ever be in. Think about it. When you pull it out of the bag and take the head cover off, you might see it in that position for about 2 seconds. The really important profile for me is how it looks in behind the ball. And the whole range looks exceptional. Interestingly, for the first time in a while, this range is kind of split in terms of its aesthetic. The Triple Diamond head is finished with a gloss black, whereas the Elyte and the Elyte X head has a matte finish, and it's a much lighter finish from there. Also, what we tend to see within Callaway's range, that's come through, the Triple Diamond head doesn't have the chevron or the Callaway triangle for alignment, whereas the other two models do. Now, those of you that saw my Cobra review of the DS Adapt range, you might remember I was a little bit critical of the banner strip along the top edge there. I felt there was a bit of a lack of symmetry from where it transitions into the hosel. It transitioned quite sharply, which actually really affected the overall profile of the head and the look of it in that playing position for me. Now, Callaway have the same thing. It does taper off around the hosel, but what they've done is they blended it in a little bit more gradually, and it actually enhances this head. It really frames the ball nicely. So from the playing position in particular, the Elyte and the Elyte X look exceptional. All of these drivers sit extremely squarely behind the ball, and they frame the ball beautifully at address. And the Elyte and the Elyte X in particular have plenty of footprint to really enhance confidence in that address position. So I'm going to start with the standard Elyte model, which is the middle of the range for this particular family. And testing drivers can be kind of funny. From a selfish point of view, you tend to gravitate towards or look forward to drivers that you think might end up in your bag. And when I first put this down behind the ball, I didn't think this would be one of those drivers. That wasn't until I hit it. Now this really is a fantastic all-round driver, and what I liked about it most and why it appealed to me is that for a middle of the range driver, and I mean middle of its own range there, it actually had quite a low spin profile. Now those of you that need a little bit more spin or struggle with height shouldn't panic here. That was actually combined with quite a high launch number, so I got a really desirable high launch, low spin ball flight. And when you couple that with some real genuine stability at impact, I thought it performed really, really well for me. The feel off the face here is really, really solid. And I have to say, I did notice that I do move this marginally quicker than I did the Ai Smoke Max. It was about 1.5 miles per hour on average, which is not insignificant in the quest for distance. Now, I really do like these 3 weight ports at the back for what they achieve in a technical sense. You can really dive into fine-tuning your CG and dialing in that ball flight. My one comment here would be aesthetically, the other 2 weight ports that aren't in use when you've selected where you want that CG to be do look a little unfinished and like they're waiting for something. I think I'd have liked to see Callaway focus a little bit more on the aesthetic of that particular area. Now, truth be told, I think I do prefer the look and the aesthetic of the triple diamond, which I'll be talking about next. But holistically, when you take the whole package of performance, stability, versatility, and feel, this is genuinely a really strong offering. Right, sorry to interrupt. I hope you're enjoying this review. If you are, hit the like button. It really helps us out. Comment down below what you think of this new driver range from Callaway and subscribe to the channel. We've got loads more reviews coming this launch season. Now onto the triple diamond, and as soon as I pulled this out, I was really looking forward to testing it. When you put it in behind the ball, that new glossy black finish looks really, really good. And you've got that familiar kind of squat finish, slightly more compact head that you tend to see with these lower spin drivers. When you put it down next to its predecessor, the Ai Smoke triple diamond, you'll see that it's actually pretty much identical in terms of profile and shape. It's just had that little makeover with this glossy new black finish, and I think it looks really, really good behind the ball. Now, once I started hitting this triple diamond, I absolutely wasn't disappointed. It's got a slightly more muted acoustic than the other 2 in the range, and it's got a genuinely good, solid feel at impact. I think smooth is how I would describe it best. Not harsh in any way, and no unwanted vibrations. It's got a really nice pitch when you make contact, and enough of an impact feel and a sound to let you know you're hitting something with a bit of meat on the bone. So data numbers in terms of speed and distance and spin, I actually found almost identical to last season's Ai Smoke triple diamond. But I've used this in a couple of rounds now, and what I would say is I find it just a little bit more user-friendly than the old Ai Smoke from last year. I found that when you were on your game, that was an exceptional driver. But when you mishit it a little bit, it was just a touch more volatile. And from what I've seen in my testing, let's just say the Elite triple diamond is just that little bit less needy in terms of strike. So when you consider you can get all of last year's performance here, but with a significant uplift in forgiveness, what's not to like? This is genuinely an early contender for my favorite driver of 2025. So now onto the Elite X. I really think this is a model that's going to suit those of you out there with slightly slower swing speeds. I found this exceptionally easy to launch, and it's got a really high MOI number. What you tend to find sometimes with that is when you get those higher MOI numbers, the spin can get a little bit out of control. I didn't find that at all here. I found the height built in with the launch more than the spin, which is really encouraging. One other thing that I really liked about this particular model is the option to add some draw bias to what is already quite a draw bias head. I found in the neutral setting, I was getting some significant right to left movement on the ball. So to me, that suggests there's some inherent draw bias just in the design, but what not all manufacturers offer you is the chance to even enhance that draw bias further by moving that weight into this draw setting here. Interestingly, in behind the ball, it actually looks from a footprint point of view almost identical to the Elite, but it does some very, very different things. It launches significantly higher than the Elite and spins a little bit more, so it gives you that bit more safety, but also it's got that significant inherent draw bias that I was just talking about. So for me, it's going to be a real winner for those of you with slow swing speeds or anyone who's looking to combat a slice. So this is a really solid range from Callaway, and while the shelf appeal might not be there for some, I actually happen to really like it, and I like the retro nod to the Epic and Epic Flash ranges, with the colorway, that sort of green accent color. And in the arguably more important position down behind the ball, I actually happen to think it looks really good and the proportions are just right. I would caveat that, however, with going back to a comment I made earlier as to why Callaway has decided to make the triple diamond a different finish to the Elyte and the Elyte X. For me, if you want to liken this to a family scenario, it feels like they've kind of picked their favorite child, or even worse, they're trying to push one out of the family. Now, we can talk all day about tech and looks, but the bottom line we all want to know is, does this driver range perform? And the answer to me is a resounding yes. The triple diamond in particular has been great for me, and I've already had a couple of really good driving rounds with this. The combination of ball speed, low spin, and stability has got me really excited about this particular model. And the Elyte was a real surprise for me with its impressive combination of a slightly more aggressive spin profile, but real versatility and genuine playability. And the X will do a fabulous job for those of you out there with slightly more moderate swing speeds, or those slicers of the golf ball who want to mitigate that a little bit with their equipment. Not only is it slightly draw biased to start with, you've got this additional setting which not all drivers offer, so I think that's going to do a really good job for those of you who want to mitigate that slice a little bit. Overall, this is a fantastically solid range of drivers, and I'm looking forward to see how they get on in 2025.